The men's singles final was a battle between Tom Spear, a composer from Denver, and Terry Moore, a homemaker from Chicago. But Spear was anything but composed when he beat Moore for $6,000.
Wow, my friends were real supportive. It just sparked me at the end there. I thought I was going down. Terry's awesome.
I started playing when I was 12 or 13 and started playing my first tournaments when I was 14. That was 1974. This particular crowd is about a very big handful of players that have come right out of the 70s when foosball was sort of climbing and reaching a peak as far as the purses involved in foosball and so forth. The tournaments were sponsored, had multiple sponsors and a great deal of money for the 70s anyway, and that ignited the sort of whole country here, you know, with respect to foosball.
I think back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, it was probably one of the premier places to play. We had some of the top players in the world. Todd Lafredo, Tom Spear, just names like that, Rick Lucas, the names that you don't hear anymore. But it was pretty big. And so when we held tournaments, we would draw people from other countries.
Todd Lafredo came along and won his first world championships in 1977. And when that happened, everybody was having to compete now against Mike Bowers, who was a world champion, and then Todd Lafredo.
I'm a whore for the game. Colorado was a foosball mecca, and because of that, there were a lot of good players, well, at one time, we had so many world champions here. And if you could win one of our local tournaments, that would be easier than winning a world championship, because a lot of these guys didn't travel.
The men's singles final was a battle between Tom Spear, a composer from Denver, and Terry Moore, a homemaker from Chicago. But Spear was anything but composed when he beat Moore for $6,000.
Wow, my friends were real supportive. It just sparked me at the end there. I thought I was going down. Terry's awesome.
Tom Spear was blessed with not only his intelligence, but how to use it, and especially at the game of foosball.
When I was growing up, he was basically larger than life, is the way to put it.
He was very smart, always articulate, immaculately dressed, in tip-top condition his entire life.
He was a prick. Yeah, I did not like him for a long time. He was just selfish, you know, selfish, mean, and I eventually found him in that, but it took a while.
My name's Barbara Parker, and I am a secretary here at the Rising Church. I call him Thomas. That's how he introduced himself to me, and so I always call him that. He came to the church and asked, he told me he needed to do community service, and it's the first time I had an interaction with him. And I said, of course, you know, we do community service here all the time. And he said, well, I've been to 13 other churches and nobody will let me work there. And I said, you're welcome here. He said, I'm afraid that when I'm in here that my dad will send demons, and I don't know how I'm gonna act if that happens, and I don't wanna hurt you. After that, I called our resource officer with the Arvada Police, and just to get a little info now, because that started making me a little concerned. And she said, you're the first person that's really had contact with him and had a conversation. And so I kind of filed that away and thought, well, let's just see if we can build a relationship with him.
You know, Tom's probably one of the most contacted people here in the city. I think the community is interested in Tom's story. They see this man that has walked these streets for years in this city, and they want to know, you know, why hasn't he gotten help? Does he not want help? I've had a lot of citizens call in and say they've tried to give him money or food, and he doesn't want it. He doesn't want the handouts. So they're interested in who he is and what's going to happen to him.
The first thing I noticed was he started asking me religious questions, and Tom's not a religious guy. Just the fact that he said something made my eyebrow go up, and I thought, that's kind of weird.
I think he's comfortable where he's at, and that's the problem. With most of these people, they're comfortable with where they're at. They don't want to be in crowds of people. They don't want to do the things they used to enjoy because they really are focused on right now. And so when I see Tom Spear like he is now, I'm saddened by it. I want to help him, but you don't know what to say to him.
Sometimes the situation is just bad and there's nothing you can do. And I think that that's probably, you know, where it's at. We all want Tom to come back, but I don't think that's going to happen.
The final match of the weekend. Open singles final on the left of your screen. Big Terry Moore. On the right, Tom Spear. Terry Moore, of course, originally out of San Diego, California, now playing out of Chicago, Illinois. Tom Spear out of Denver, Colorado. Here's Moore now with the first scoring opportunity of the first game.
Unfortunately, it's probably going to be a very sad ending for him.
Yeah. I am Dr. Max Wachtel, and I'm a forensic psychologist.
This spring.
It's an interesting experience to speak with somebody like that because it's almost like they aren't even talking to you. You know, you could be having a conversation with them and they can be responding to you, but it doesn't feel like a normal conversation. It feels like there's this cloudy wall of glass between the two of you, and you can just tell the other person is kind of off in his own mind. And it sounds like maybe that's what was going on with that is what's going on with him. You know, like when you talk with him, I'm sure that he recognizes you. You know, I mean, I think he's probably a pretty intelligent guy, and you know, and he can pull it together when he needs to. But he just gets so weird and uncomfortable in social situations, and that's just part of the disorder.
I would say Tom's in his own head, sometimes his own world. Sometimes it's hard to make sense of exactly where he is or what he's speaking about. But one thing I tried to do when I was working with the homeless is kind of learn their story. There's a lot more to the person than just the homeless stereotype. So good, bad, or indifferent, I wanted to know Tom's story. I tried to delve into that, and it's difficult, but I know a little bit of his family history, his mental illness history, so that helps with our conversation. And I think those are things that the general public doesn't know about Tom, and what makes them curious as to why he's still on the street, why he hasn't been provided any help. And the bottom line is, Tom doesn't want it. He's been offered it, and he doesn't want it.
It has to go beyond what what he looks like, you know, because he looks like and I hate to say this, but he looks like the average homeless person. You know, he's got the long beard, he's kind of disheveled, he looks like he might be a little bit dirty. You know, like there's nothing really remarkable about the way that he looks. It's, I think it's the way that he behaves. Like he juggles in the park, and kids love to see that. And you know, and he's not a scary, mean person. You know, that he may be paranoid and he may kind of push you away a little bit, you know, keep you at arm's distance. That becomes very interesting to people. Like, you know, why is he so different than all the other people who we see on the street who may be talking to themselves, and then, you know, as you walk by, they start shouting at you and they seem very scary. This guy isn't scary.
I found it hard to believe that you hadn't been to the vault, actually, earlier. Then again, why would you have to? All right. A4321.
4321. Bam. That's the VO. Sports. This is video of, we hope, Tom Speer. We're really not too sure, but we're going back a few years, so I'm looking for sports tape 337. Sports 33. Oh my gosh, it's not here. It goes 336, missing 338. The mystery of Tom Speer. How is that possible? 337. Ah, just out of order. It's here. Well, I would love to find video that we don't already have of Tom Speer playing foosball, or maybe sound with him, or just anything. Anything related to Tom Speer would be great. 321 at 52 minutes 28 seconds is video. Now, if this is video of Tom, well, we're gonna go to a beta deck and see if this stuff plays. This is all we got for light. There it is. I don't think Tom's in this one. Foosball Champs 53-48. There's Tom. But I just... yeah. That was it. Oh, man.
Time goes by very quickly, and everybody is busy. You know, they have their own lives, their own families, their jobs, all of that. And you know, if there's somebody who is, you know, turned into a problem in some way, or who has developed some sort of a disorder that has a really negative impact on social relationships and friendships, those people just kind of end up disappearing from your life. And it can feel like you just talked to them yesterday, and then when you really go back and do the math, it's like, oh wait, I haven't talked to him since 1982.
The homeless community kind of comes together, especially at night, for protection. And he's not one that would ever do that. He always kept to himself, and he didn't hang around with any of the guys, and didn't want to interact, didn't want to come in here for food or things like that. So that was kind of unusual. He said, I'm afraid that when I'm in here that my dad will send demons, and I don't know how I'm going to act if that happens, and I don't want to hurt you. And I told him, I said, you know, I really respect you telling me that, and I will find work for you outside. You know, then he said, can I give you a hug? And I said, of course. And then he left.
Right now we're going to head to Tom Speer's parents' house in Aurora. They all live close together, and we're Gonna go knock on Mr. Spears' door and see if he wants to talk. We're in the area. So here's what I want to do with Mike Bowers. He is like the closest thing I think we're going to get right now to family, because he was there when Tom was really young. So I'm going to ask him, you know, I'll ask him about the history of the Arapaho foosball team, which is to me amazing. There's a foosball team of kids out of Arapaho. But then I want to ask him if he went to Tom's wedding, and I want to ask him, and you got to help me remember this, I want to ask him what it was like when they traveled. You know, like I have this vision of like these 6 or 7 guys in that photo that we have, of like them like, okay, you guys, we're going to Detroit next week, we got to get in the plane. Like, do they get in a plane as a group? And like, I just see these guys, like young kids getting on a plane, living large. And of course, I made a little video for Mike to look at, because on days like today, you know, I don't think Mike has a clue that Tom is standing out inside this stuff. So I have video of Tom in the snow that we can show him.
Hello.
Good morning, Mike. Tom Cole from 9 News, just checking in. We're a little early. Is it okay if we pop in the next few minutes?
Yep.
All right, we'll see you in a bit.
Bye.
Bye.
I'm Mike Bowers, the living legend, the greatest mother that ever played foosball. No, I'm just kidding. Nobody really knew what kind of life we were leading as, you know, professional foosball players. But when you went to a tournament, a limo picked you up at your house, and you got in the limo, and you went and picked up other players, and you went to the airport, and because John Jay was also a promoter, I would say at least 50% of the time, there were TV cameras waiting for you when you got off the plane.
You guys are going to be jealous now, I can already tell, but the lovely Hilton here in Oshkosh has provided the foosball players with a real nice place to relax. Right behind me here is a beautiful hot tub jacuzzi.
Look at this.
We just had this incredible rug, you know, called the $1 Million Tour, yanked right from underneath us in one weekend. I mean, it was over that quickly.
I just want to show you this. Let me know what you think of this. Is this what you remember?
Well, he's walking pretty slow, and he never had that burly. He would actually ride the bike. Does he always walk the bike? Yeah, look at that setup. Holy smoke. Strange dynamic to see this, you know, because when I first met him, he was a jock, totally, you know, groomed, straight, you know, short hair, and did no drugs, you know, completely straight. People say homeless guy or whatever, and yeah, I'm aware of that, but I don't look at Spear that way. Spear's a lone ranger. He's a lone wolf. He's just like the rest of us. He's going his own path.
Well, we're in Aurora. We just finished an interview with Mike Bowers, who was he was the first world champion, foosball king. I forget the term that he gave himself, but whatever it was pretty accurate. So right now we're going to head to Tom Spear's parents' house in Aurora.
Gosh. It was pretty much you know, a well-rounded family, and his dad was you know, success-oriented, and you could tell how that bleeded down to Tom. And I'm sure his dad would have stepped up, you know, if he decided to buy a McDonald's franchise or something. I'm sure his dad would have helped him. You know, they were that tight. They were that close.
All right, that's the book. Got cars behind me, so this is another address that pops up. Try it?
Yep.
I'm bummed because I thought we were gonna get something there because I'm never down here.
We still have an opportunity. So.
Yeah, I know. And that's it right there. Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. My name is Tom Cole. I think we may have spoken on the phone. I'm calling from 9 News. Are you Marie?
Yeah, and I'll let them know.
Yeah,
All
just
right.
reach out to Dean and let him know, and he can call me. He has my number if he wants to. I just want to be fair about this,
Okay.
as much as we can. All right.
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
All
All
right,
right.
thank you.
Have a good day. All right. I just explained to her that I just want to make sure that the family feels like they have had their say, and it's going to start rolling out soon. I wanted them to know what was going on.
When you look at Tom Spear, you can't point to his parents. His parents were gold. So, what else happened there?
This is Tom Spear, his Hall of Fame jacket when he was inducted into the International, or our National Hall of Fame. I'm Jerry Todd. I live in Arvada, Colorado, and I am the power of attorney for Tom Spear.
So I just want to see the names here. Horton.
Horton's
Colorado.
He's got a connection to Colorado, but no, I think he's from Minneapolis.
Oh, okay.
Both of them out of Denver, Colorado. That's Scotty Whiteman and Tom Spear. Yes, folks, Tom Spear is back out on tour.
And what a match this is going to turn out to be
97.
right here.
Yeah, again, he's one of those guys. He's retired. He makes a comeback. He retires. He makes a comeback. So, and oh, look at him. He's serious. He's got his game face on. Tom's one of those guys that, if you went into, at one time, any bar that had a foosball table, there was probably, if someone took it serious enough, they would know the name Tom Spear. He's a legend. They always still talk about how methodical he was and what a great 5-bar he has. And anytime someone brings up the greats, his name's always mentioned. So he's still remembered to this day, even though he hasn't really played in a tournament in over a decade. I'm sure most people dismiss him at a first glance and don't realize, just all the things he's accomplished over his life, and that he's a world champion, and just, I consider him a genius.
I had heard about the foosball and that he was a foosball champion. And so when I saw the video of him, it excited me, but it kind of gave me chills too, because I see glimpses of him when he's really happy. When I've gone out to talk to him and he's just like, I'm loving life, and he'll say stuff like that. And I saw that in him back then. And so that's where I get the free spirit. I think somewhere under there, he's just always been kind of a free spirit and doing his own thing. And unfortunately, I think what's happened along the way, there's just not a place he feels he fits in.
Well, I think that if you meet someone special in your life, that it can help you want to get better, and you know, you want to get better for them. So yeah, that would be great for Tom. It would be great for him to have a happy ending. You just never know which Tom you're going to get. You might get the Tom who's really full of life and energetic and wants to interact with people, or you might get the Tom who is very suspicious of you and wants to know what your motives are, and you know, just, you know, he thinks that you might want to do him harm or use any information against him. So you just really never know which Tom you're going to get.
It's 12:47. It's already tomorrow. 12:47 in the morning. All right, so it's 43 degrees out. It's not even that cold. It's not like winter yet, but want to go see where he is?
Yeah.
We'll find Tom. 2 weeks ago, I think it was, he was sleeping just on the sidewalk. 2 weeks ago. Just, and you would have to be looking for him to see him. That's how sly he is. He was in the dark. He wasn't under like a street lamp or anything. And because I was looking for him, I found him. Tom Speer used to have a table in one of these shops. And the shop that he was talking about where he goes downstairs, it's right here. See where it says pool? That's the old pool hall. And down those stairs, right down there, is where Tom used to have a table.
You know, the first time I ever saw him, he owned an arcade in Arvada, and as you would go down the stairs, you would look and he had all his trophies displayed alongside, you know, as you're going down. And when you go to the bottom of the stairs, you know, when you looked over, you could see the foosball table, and he was on there playing. And my buddies, you know, they worshipped him at the time.
He's not there. I don't know where he is then. Bummer.
He can disappear. He can disappear and not be around, and nobody has seen him.
A big turnover right there, an opportunity for Speer to score. Instead, the opponent's now in possession of the ball in the form of Don Swan, who clears the zone. Ellison can't grab it off the rebound, and rolls back into the goal area of Scotty Weidman. 1995 goalie of the year, Scotty.
How does it end for Tom?
How does it end for Tom? It ends.
I am a lion. I don't walk, talk, or sleep with the sheep. And that perfectly describes all the world champion foosball players. The fine line between insanity and genius, you know, that's a fine line. And if you're a world champion at foosball, you know, you're a secular genius in foosball. And who's to say, you know, that same fine line's not there, and that we're all pretty close to being tilted.
You know, that thought makes me kind of sad, because I worry that he's gonna catch pneumonia or something serious and nobody's gonna know.
He's gonna pass away on the street somewhere, most likely, if he isn't actively engaging in treatment. You know, he may, you know, as he gets older, he may, you know, develop a health issue that doesn't get caught because he's not having yearly physicals and that kind of thing. That's probably how it's going to end, and that is sad and tragic. But at the same time, you know, he's kind of lived life on his own terms.